Hi, I'm Hope, and welcome to the Crystal Energy Update reading for November 23rd through November 29th. I've got a really positive message for us this week, and I'm excited to share it with you.
Hi, I'm Hope, and I'm an energy guide and holistic life coach. And on this channel, I share with you how I work with crystals like this and these to deliver messages and insights that can inspire you and me and the rest of the world as we move along our journey.
All right, so for those of you who are new to my channel, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this works. So I'm Hope, and I'm a crystal intuitive, meaning I connect with earth energies, specifically with crystals. So most people know what crystals do or how they help you heal or how they, affect your body aura, but I actually connect with their energy. And I found early on as I began to work with them that they had energy resonances and messages that I could pick up on. So that's kind of how it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a number of crystals. I don't usually know exactly how many, it just however many feels right. It's usually somewhere between like 8 and 12. And I have them all kind of like in this big box because you can't shuffle crystals and there's no flip side. You can't turn it over so that you can't see what you're choosing. And since I'm familiar with all the crystals in my collection, that makes it impossible for me to, go in with open eyes and choose the ones that are appropriate. So I close my eyes and I choose the appropriate crystals from the box. And then I lay them out on this where I have a second camera set up so you guys can actually see the crystals and how they're placed on the board. So I read the type of crystal that I choose, like, what crystal it is. But then I also read where it shows up on this board and then in relation to the other crystals, okay? So before we get started, some of you have been asking why I have these other crystals on the board. So I just have a little rose quartz sphere over here in the corner. I have a selenite in this corner with a little tiny azeztulite chip here. And then I have this fluorite tower that I just love. And, I switch it up, but I just feel like it just gives this board like a really nice, clean vibration to work with. And I just kind of like it. So, when we work with crystals, it's always an intuitive art. You're drawn to the crystal that is the right one for you based on your energy resonance at the time. So whatever we are resonating with is what we will draw to us. That's how the law of attraction works. So it's the same thing. So whatever crystal our aura might need, or our chakras might need, or our health, physical body might need, we're going to draw that towards us. We have a propensity to draw to us the things we're already in alignment with as well. And that's how I read them for individuals. So I also read for individuals. They come to me for readings, and we can do it based on a specific question or situation, or we can just give a general message, which is what we usually do. Okay, let's get started. That's enough talking. Let's get started. And you're going to want to watch to the end of this because it doesn't matter where we start. The message is all of the crystals included. I know a lot of people are just watching like certain parts of it, but the whole thing really applies. And sometimes I don't see the connections of some of the crystals that I'm reading towards the end of it, how they relate to the ones in the beginning until I get to the end. So it just makes more sense at the end when we kind of like tie it all together and wrap it all up. So I just thought I would mention that. And of course, if you're enjoying my content, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. I want to keep this channel going so I can bring these messages out to more people. So would love to have your support. All right, mixing them up. So I just have them in this box, and it's, you can see what it looks like. I'll share it with you. So they're just all in here. I have over 85 of them in here now, and I've worked with each one individually as I brought it into my collection. Okay, so just a moment to take a breath and center. And my intention is to pull crystals that will give us a useful message regarding the energy coming in on November 23rd, lasting to the 29th. So that's a Monday through Sunday. All right. Again, not looking at the board, not looking at the crystals to see what I'm pulling. And I usually just, because I can even tell what they feel like, right? Because I'm so familiar with them that I literally put my hand down, like finger pointed down, and whatever one gets touched first is the one that comes out of the box. All right, we're gonna do one more, and it's that one. All right, let's look and see what we've got here. I'm very excited. So I'm gonna tell you what we've got first, and then I'm gonna read them for us. So this is a jade. This is amethyst. Down here we have charoite, black obsidian. This is a aura quartz, sodalite, bumblebee jasper, and phosphosiderite. So this is pretty cool. Okay, all right. So we're gonna read these crystals. I usually start either at the left or at the bottom, kind of depends on where they show up. These are all like in future positions here, except for these. So, okay, so we're gonna start here with the jade. And when jade shows up in a reading, jade talks about friendships, it talks about prosperity, and it talks about balancing our emotions. Jade brings in the ability to make great decisions, but is also a stone of the heart chakra. So this is more of a coming together kind of energy that I'm feeling with it. And when I've got this paired with amethyst, what I'm seeing is an ability to ascend the mundane, to get a little bit out of the physical and into philosophical conversations with our friends, to get into a higher energy realm. So we're going to higher frequencies as opposed to the mundane physical world where we talk about our jobs and our stuff and our chores and our kids, like all those things we have to do. This is really bringing in conversations of a higher consciousness and ideas and thoughts associated with that as we go forward with this week, because we're looking at, if you're in the United States, we're looking at having Thanksgiving this week. So as we're getting together with people, we're having these conversations, I see that we're having conversations of a higher vibrational level, and we're connecting at a little bit more of a soul level than a mundane level, okay? This is interesting, the way this is just sort of all like almost cascading down here. So as I come up here to phosphosiderite, phosphosiderite is all about using your psychic talents, using your intuitive gifts, using the clairs. If you're not familiar with the clairs, there's clairvoyant, which means you have the ability to see in your mind's eye or through your physical eyes, things that may not exist in the physical world. Clairaudient means you're able to hear messages or hear sounds or hear things that give you clues about things you're not able to sense in the physical world. Clairsentient means you're able to feel things inside your body or through your emotions. Claircognizant means you're able to just know things. It's a clear knowing. And there's one for smell, and there's one for, what's the other one? Oh, taste, right? And I never remember what those two are called. You can look them up if you want. So phosphosiderite talks about using your intuitive abilities to help you communicate with your guides, to help you understand your life and spiritual path. And this comes up right here at the top. So that is playing a major role in our lives this week. And, you know, one of the other messages I've been getting a lot just this last couple weeks talks about our separation from our physical world as we've been, you know, quarantining, or things have just been different and things have been changing, and many of us have been working from home or whatever has changed in your life. I'm feeling energetically, collectively, that many people are, even more so than in the spring, starting to pull back and say, you know, what was I really meant to do? Because, you know, in the spring, the energy was like, oh, why have I been doing this thing I hate? Or why have I been working this job I don't like? Or why have I been doing this thing? Because it gave us a different perspective. And now we're going a little bit deeper to say, well, not only do I not want to do that thing, I want to do this other thing, or I want to do something that really fulfills me. And that's where this comes in, because we're bringing in this energy of past life remembrance. So even if you're not getting it on a conscious level, like, oh, I know I was this person or I'm having these specific memories, you're getting these inclinations and you're getting these little like flutters of dreams and hopes and things you want to do. So pay attention to that. It's coming in really strong now. The earth grid has shifted, the poles have shifted. And so we're seeing a lightening and a thinning of the veils between third dimension, fourth and fifth dimension. So it really gives us the opportunity to transverse that that linear timeline that we were on that says like everything has to be this way. I have to get this job, to get this house, to have this relationship, to have the kids, to drive the car. Like that's all shifting. And if you're seeing that in your world, allow yourself to have the space to explore that. It doesn't mean you have to jump off the cliff tomorrow. It doesn't mean you have to, quit your job or leave your spouse or God forbid anything, really abrupt, but just give it some space inside to kind of work through that energy and decide how you feel about it, what it means, what you're feeling connected to. It wouldn't hurt to, write it out or journal it or speak to someone about it, just so you can kind of document what you're going through and how you're going through this process. Because I really believe it's a process that we're all going through at different levels, at different times. So just be aware of that energy is really, really strong this coming week. I'm going to come on down here to Bumblebee Jasper. And when Bumblebee Jasper shows up in a reading, it talks about bringing in the tools and resources that you need to make the shifts that you're beginning to make. So Bumblebee Jasper helps you get organized. It helps you put the pieces together, and it brings you the people and the resources. They just come flooding towards you. People just show up to say like, okay, I've got a hammer and nails, let's build this. Or I've got the ingredients for you, let's make this recipe, right? Not literally, but figuratively, to say, I'm going to support you, or here's the tools you need. So if you're thinking like, I have this idea in my heart that I really want to do this, but I'm not sure how it's going to work. That's where Bumblebee Jasper comes in, and it says, if you could just pull back a little bit, be patient. Don't always have to be pushing to make something happen today. Be a little bit patient, give it some time, and let the tools and resources come to you that are going to be perfect for your idea or your next step moving forward, whatever that might be. Now, moving on to Sodalite. Sodalite comes in and it says, where can you use your communicative abilities? Where can you use your voice? Where can you express how you feel, either through physical speaking, through writing, or any other medium that you might use to communicate? So, and that could even be social media, right? It could be anything that you're using to communicate. So it says, where can I use my words to create what it is that I'm feeling when I'm connecting to myself, to my higher self, to the messages from my guides, and what I'm feeling like doing? What messages am I getting intuitively that say, okay, I have this idea. I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. Bumblebee Jasper helps us get organized. And because it resonates with the yellow and orange, it's going to resonate with the sacral and the solar plexus chakras, which are chakras of creativity. It's where ideas are birthed, and it's where we take this idea and bring it out to the outside world, where we get creative. And it's talking about expressing ourselves. Where do we have something to say? Where do we need to use our voice and communicate in a strong way to others how we're feeling and what our opinion is? And Bumblebee Jasper comes in and says, we're going to give you the tools to help you do that. So that's really nice to see. Moving on to this Aura Quartz. Aura Quartz is all about creating. It's a manifestation stone. It's a magnifier. And it says you can truly have what you want. So this is really, really a powerful manifestation stone. And it's paired here like almost touching, not quite, but almost touching with this obsidian. And when obsidian comes in, it doesn't mess around. It's like, we're bringing stuff up to the surface for you to deal with it. We're bringing things out so you can deal with it. So when this is paired with this aura quartz, this is talking about what you've been waiting for, like showing up, like the answers you needed or the information you needed, or someone comes and tells you, oh, well, you didn't realize it, but this has been going on. Sometimes truths are revealed, and this is good because when this truth is revealed or these truths are revealed, it allows you to go, oh my gosh, well now I can blah, 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 right? Whatever that next step is, you're like, this is perfect timing because obsidian comes in and reveals and brings to truth and brings out into the open things that were previously hidden. And it is an energy that like clears negativity, brings it to the surface for you to deal with, says, we're not messing around. We want you dealing with this like right now. And because of this, really good things can happen. So sometimes when we see obsidian, then it's kind of like, oh, I got to deal with my shadow stuff, like not really stuff you want to deal with. But this one is like, because it's paired with this aura quartz, is like, this is like, oh, thank God, I've been waiting for this. Like, it's really, really powerful. Then we move on to charoite. And charoite says, oh, okay, I'm seeing some more information here. So this information that obsidian is bringing up might actually be about yourself. It might be shadow stuff. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon, right? So it comes, yeah, where it's positioned, it says like you may be realizing things you didn't realize before. So you might get information from an outside source that comes in and says like, hey, this has been going on, or here's where the truth is. But then it allows you to go like within yourself, like, oh, that's why I did this, or that's why I think this, or that's why I feel this. Okay. So this is coming in as a sort of like an internal truth, right? Or an outside truth comes in and hits an internal realization that you have. So that's really cool. And then charoite comes in, and charoite says like, this changes what you thought you had to do, or what you thought you were supposed to be, or the path you thought you should take or had to take. That's wiped out. That's changed. And charoite comes in and says, it's not black or white. You don't have to necessarily walk this path to go here. Sometimes we think that, you know, like the only way to get the job we want is the 4-year degree, or the only way to impress this person is to, you know, dress nice and buy a fancy car. Charoite comes in and says there are other alternatives, and those are just examples. But charoite comes in and says it's not black or white. You can do this differently, and you need to do it your way. And it's a way of thinking. It's a way of attitude. It's a way of internalizing. It's how you feel about things, and it's how you perceive your outside world, what you choose to believe and what you choose to manifest. So I'm going to recap this because sometimes, like I said, as I go through, things become more and more clear. Also want to remind you, I just did a tutorial on Bumblebee Jasper. It's up on my TikTok and my Instagram, and I'm going to be doing a longer one for YouTube this week. So be watching for that. So if you want to know a little bit more about Bumblebee Jasper, check back. I'll be putting that up. Also, I'm going to be doing a whole new video for next Monday, because the following Monday, the November 30th, is the full moon. Yeah, the full moon partial eclipse. And that is huge astrologically. There's some other planetary stuff going on with it. I'm not an astrologer, but I find that the energy that the crystals give us from the Earth Collective also correspond, because, you know, like, right, Earth's a planetary body, and so it corresponds with the other planetary systems and planetary bodies with all that energy going on. So you're going to want to come back next weekend as I post the one for the following week, because that's that partial eclipse. So it's going to be huge. Okay, so to recap, we've got this really nice balancing of this jade with amethyst that talks about how we're dealing with our friends and our relatives on this higher level, where we're speaking about and delving into higher realms and realms of ascension. And so our conversations are going from, what I did at work last Friday to, oh my gosh, I'm having this new revelation. So remember to be communicating those things. And this is right in line with this sodalite. So this tells us, it's safe. It's becoming safe now to talk about your spirituality, your ascension, things you're noticing in your environment, where before some of those topics were kind of taboo. Like we didn't want to bring that up at the dinner table. We wanted to talk about, what the kids did last weekend and how the job was this week. But I'm seeing a clear path to be able to speak to others about this energy ascension and about your own timelines and about some of these metaphysical things that are coming up in your world. So this is really nice to see this energy tied in. Be cognizant of your intuitive abilities and, maybe even start like a journal so that you can keep track of when weird things happen or serendipitous things happen to you. And sometimes when we take them as a one-off, we don't realize that we have these gifts and these abilities. It wasn't until I started writing them down and I started seeing a pattern of things happening in my life, serendipitous things, knowings, things that I knew before I should know, things I knew that I had no way of knowing. And it wasn't until I wrote them down and started really putting them together in a timeline to go, oh my gosh, I do have gifts, right? And I think, I know we all have gifts, but I think some of us dismiss them as one-offs, that it was just a coincidence, right? When we see them chronologically written down, we're able to say like, oh, that wasn't just a one-off. There's something to this. So be noticing the gifts you have. And as I was told very early on in my development that, whatever gift you have, be thankful you have that gift and learn to use that one. Because when I became aware of my claircognizance, I wanted to be clairaudient or clairvoyant, and I didn't understand claircognizance. And it wasn't until I learned to embrace that energy that I was able to start to develop some of the others. And, my claircognizance is still way more developed, but I occasionally have little bits of clairaudient and clairvoyant as well. So that goes for the other, all of our clairs. So whatever when you're seeing the most, write it down, be aware of it, and that will help you learn to develop it. All right. So we're going to be getting help to use our voice. Truths are going to be made available to us that are going to allow us to level up and to bring our hopes and wishes into reality. And remember, there's more than one path to get to where you want to go. And Shara White comes in and just says that there's a divine path for you, and be open to it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, I love it when you share, when you comment, and when you subscribe, because it does help support the channel.